first off, for those who are not well acquainted with ICP, could you give us a brief overview of your company and product?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Amy. Well, ICP is located in southeast New Mexico, in one of the world's most favorable and mining-friendly jurisdictions. For the past 8 years, ICP has been focused on the development of the Ochoa project, which was focused on producing sulfate of potash. The Ochoa project is fully permitted. The company has received full permits by the Bureau of Land Management. The press release could be found April 2014 on the company's website. The fully permitted of a large-scale project of this magnitude is very rare, and that's very important for ICP to have, which has enabled us to raise over $100 million from capital markets, private equity firms, and more importantly, joint venture partners that seek the actual high-grade, quality fertilizer products that the company can make.
Okay. So the macroeconomic conditions haven't been incredibly optimistic these past few years. So how has this fact affected the fertilizer industry as a whole and the demand for polyhalite?
Polyhalite, yeah. Look, that's a very good question. If you look at what happened over the past 5 years in the potash industry, we went through a very large boom where prices were quite high. In the potash industry, high prices are not sustainable due to the fact that supply and demand play a very large role. So when prices started to actually become skyrocket, it became a bit of more of a play on speculation. When prices came back to a lower demand, to a lower level, demand started to actually pick up again by end users, and then you had the issue with the cartels and you would call the pricing fix that was in place. So when that fell apart, potash prices continued to drop significantly. We were very focused on the development of sulfate of potash, and SOP prices remained quite high. However, in the industry, every fertilizer company was obviously painted with one brush. The company did produce a positive feasibility study in January of 2014, but as you said, given the macroeconomics, given the tough financing structure in the industry, it wasn't economic for the company to fully finance the project. With that being said, we were able to attract a financing partner, Cartesian out of New York, which is a well-known private equity firm that is firmly capable and believes in developing the Ochoa asset. ICP still has investment partners such as RCF and Yara, who are large players in the space, but the economics haven't been there. In order to get through that, the company has to demonstrate more cost-effective measures. We have to demonstrate ways where we can reduce cost, show accountability to actually us being in place for products to come on stream. So what we've done over the past 2 years is understand where our economic model sits, who are our potential partners, and how we can actually make our product and our company's economics more attractive.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit more about ICP's competitive advantages in regards to other industry players? And in your opinion, are there currently any major direct competitors of ICP?
Yeah, well, we've announced recently that we're actually investigating a path to understanding the economic benefits of going to direct polyhalite application. Currently, we're very focused, obviously, in understanding how that economic advantage plays out in the marketplace. There's strong evidence by investments made by numerous offtake and partners that polyhalite, there is strong demand there. The capital markets, the foreign sovereign funds, and so on have demonstrated they're investing directly into polyhalite. So given our ore body and given the geology of our deposit, it certainly makes a lot of sense for us to investigate more time on that. So the advantage for us is the location, the demographics of where we are, the full permit factor, and right now, as we've explored the SOP path, we're also investing a little more time in capital understanding is, could the polyhalite approach make sense? I don't want to jump to conclusions because it is a very lucrative market. it would give ICP quite a bit of advantage compared to just about any other player in North America or globally. But before that, it's prudent to invest more time and capital understanding what really exists.
So I understand that ICP's feasibility report is currently under revision due to reasons stated above regarding the potential of polyhalite. What do you expect coming out of the other end of this revision, and how could potential results affect the future of ICP?
Right. I mean, well, that's the feasibility was at $1 billion to produce sulfate of potash. And as any company, it would be very wise, and it's very important to understand, how you can reduce costs and how you can compete in the marketplace with a product that is in stronger demand. SOP is very much in demand. SOP is very much high-grade quality and trading significantly at higher prices than MOP. However, given the luxury that we have of our deposit, and given the fact that it's so rare and so special, is the project team that's in place at ICP has designated to spend significant more time. So I think in order to fully answer that question, and it's fair for your viewers to get a better understanding, first, in some of our internal work, which will be made public through press releases in the near future. I think the proof and the evidence of where we're going to go will be in the detail that we're doing. And prior to divulging anything, I think it would only be fair that we put in the effort before we see that.
Okay. So in your opinion, do you think the value of your shares is being currently overvalued or undervalued?
What ICP has gone through a very large restructuring. If you look at the history of the company and look at the valuation of where the company has been, the share price have been trading lower than where they were, and there's a number of factors for that. I firmly believe that the market prices in stocks accurately, more or less. And if they're undervalued, they catch up, and if they're overvalued, they come to their correct valuation. Given the restructuring the company has gone through, given the new sources of financing, there's been 2 financings done recently for the project team and for ICP. When you look at the fundamentals and compare us to other players in the industry, I would say that our shares probably have more room to catch up. Now, that's of course, that's my opinion, and what the market prices the company is at, that's where it's valued. So at this stage, until the company could demonstrate more of what we're set up to do, I think the valuations are there, and in the near term, we'll demonstrate more value propositions to the market, and I believe the stock will reflect positively.
So what sort of conditions do you foresee the polyhalite industry heading towards?
Well, over the past short period of time, we've seen a very large, significant capital investment in the polyhalite industry from all levels, from the actual end users, from source of capital in the capital markets, and really there's been, I guess, a more direct approach to understanding the benefits of polyhalite. So I think it's prudent and it's very critical that, as we stated, we're going to investigate this path. And for your viewers to get a better knowledge, I think it would be important to know that we've taken the initial step. We understand it's a critical sector. We understand the cost effectiveness. We understand the fact that there's a lot of positive metrics for investors, end users, and actually the risk internally. So those are 3 very strong variable positives that we're looking at, and that's what led us down to taking this first initial path. In the weeks and months ahead, I can provide you with a more detailed update as to what our plans are in the polyhalite approach, what the key significant benefits are, and why there's significant value given to companies in that space. So I think over the next short period of time, we'll come to that conclusion and we can have a more meaningful discussion.
Okay. So you mentioned briefly before that ICP recently announced closing of financing. Could you give us a little bit more insight into this process and how this will impact ICP's future?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 2 financings that took place in 2016. The first financing is with Cartesian, who's a large private equity firm who's been a partner of ICP in helping develop and build the Ochoa project. Cartesian's involvement in ICP has enabled the project team to obviously investigate the polyhalite applications, further develop and proceed with our operations in New Mexico. The second financing was done at the Canadian company level, which was simply to ensure ICP Canada would participate and would work with the project team on further financing and explore and market the path. So at this stage, we have two channels of financing coming in, the public market and the private market, and endorse them very well for investors once they understand our game plan and we evaluate what we're doing. So in the weeks and months to come, more value propositions will be put in place that could create value.
Okay, great. Is there anything more you'd like potential investors to know that we haven't covered yet?
I think it's important to understand that, like any sector, potash in the mining sector is very cyclical. Minerals naturally follow hard commodities, and we're seeing a bit of a jubilation in the gold sector, and the oil sector has come back, and the minerals certainly do follow when the potash market certainly does come back. So I think it's important that they do their due diligence, understand the potash market, understand the sensitivities of the potash market, and every few years the market does come back in favor. And I can't foresee or predict the future, but what I can see is that there is enough noise and activities happening in all avenues that would generate a positive and more impactful potash market. And we're positioned very well at ICP to benefit from the growth in the macro sector, and internally we're doing everything we can to make sure our company's in the right place.